You know, we could all use some encouragement. And I've got some good news for you. Welcome to 5 Minutes with Mark.
Hey, welcome back to 5 Minutes with Mark. Glad you're here. We're picking up the story at verse 51. Now a certain young man followed him, having a linen cloth thrown around his naked body, and the young men laid hold of him, and he left the linen cloth and fled from them naked. Stop right there. This is an interesting little moment. And again, Mark's gospel has these interesting little moments. Now, if we look back at verse 50, you see that as Jesus is arrested, as he's confronting the chief priests and the elders and the mob that's come to take him away, it says, then they all forsook him and fled. The 11 remaining disciples disappear into the night. And then we see this young man who had followed. A young man had followed him from that upper room out to the Garden of Gethsemane to see what was going on. And most biblical scholars, I am not a biblical scholar, I know the Bible, I believe this is Mark. This is Mark's cameo appearance in the gospel. He was a young man. He was probably a teenager. He knew Jesus. He was friends with Peter. I think there was family connection. We're going to see Mark or John Mark through the book of Acts and into the apostles' writings. Paul's going to mention him a few times. He was there, and he followed out to see what was going on. Like any young kid, the guys are going out into the dark. He's understanding. He's listening to the buzz. He knows things are going down, and he wants to see what happens. And so he gets up, and he goes out, having a linen cloth thrown around his naked body, which tells me he was in bed. He's in bed when the guys get up to leave. They start singing a hymn and they go out into the night. And he's like, I got to see what this is. So he gets up, takes a sheet, throws a sheet over him and goes into the dark. He follows them. People wonder, how do we know what Jesus prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane when Peter and James and John are asleep and the other disciples are a stone's throw away? How do we know what he said? Well, there was this kid named Mark. He threw a sheet around his naked body and followed into the dark. And maybe, just maybe, he was there to be the witness, to know what happened. We know Mark's gospel is the first one that's written. Most people believe that. I do. We know that Matthew and Luke used Mark's gospel as their own. They did not include this little story. This 2 verses is unique to Mark's gospel. You find it nowhere else. This certain young man. He didn't name himself, but he's here. The gospel writer is here. And he is an eyewitness to the events that occur. Now, it's all going down. Peter is running. John is running. Andrew is running. Bartholomew is running. These guys are busting into the woods. And young John Mark takes off after them. And obviously, when the big mob is coming in, there were some other young guys who were following that. They're kids. Hey, Dad's going here. Let's go see what's going on. There's a commotion. And they see John Mark take off and run the other way. And they run after him. They get their hands on him. Well, they get their hands on his sheet. And he just sheds it and keeps going. That's right, there's a streaker in the Bible. It's John Mark, who flees into the night naked. I think in a lot of ways, this is us. Because aren't we like John Mark? Aren't we curious? But at the end of the day, aren't we just helpless and naked? I have nothing to bring to Jesus. I have nothing that I can do for him that he needs. But I can be a witness. I can share what I have experienced with others. And at the end of the day, when God sees me, he doesn't see the me that I like other people to see. He doesn't see the me that is well groomed and in control. He doesn't see the me that I project. He sees me naked in the garden, helpless, running, scared, and desperately in need of him. I love this little moment because it reminds us again that these are real people. These are real events. This is an honest snippet of Mark's experience. I followed them. And then it all went down and I started running and I almost got caught. And I only escaped by running naked to get home. Let's all be like John Mark. See you next time.
Hey friends, I'm so glad that you are enjoying this Bible study. And I hope that you'll like it and that you'll share it with others, either by word of mouth or forward the link that's here. Make sure we get the good news of Jesus out to as many people as we can, and hopefully this is a way that's engaging, entertaining, and encouraging along the way. It really is good news. And if you want to know more about me, check out my website, theeclecticmonk.com. See you soon.